We're going to do the Colorado segment before I get out. I'm going to do the Colorado segment. Because a part of that actually includes an apology. And it's not to any of the Colorado fans that, I've grown to know and just absolutely love over the last couple of weeks. No, it is to one very important Colorado grad. So I'll get to the apology in just a moment. But the biggest winner of the entire week in college football was a team that did not play, and that was Colorado. Because before the week, Colorado felt like, on the periphery of the Big 12 title discussion, but it was going to take a lot of work. Didn't seem really all that likely. And now they've got a clear path. It's like the driveway was filled with snow. People in Boulder would know a lot about that. Driveway filled with snow. How are we going to get out? Maybe it's possible, but it seems a little bit treacherous. Now a nice neighbor came over and got the snowblower out and cleared a path from the door, down the driveway, all the way out. You're good. You got a path. It may still include some tiebreakers. It's not like Colorado right now completely controls its own destiny, because there could be tiebreakers that will get very convoluted that come into play here. But you can definitely see the path. Whereas before, I don't think you could really see the path for Colorado. And it all happened, this is the funny thing. There were videos this week of Coach Prime and Travis Hunter fishing, just out on a boat fishing, which I love. Great way to spend some downtime, relax, get away from everything. But literally, they're out fishing, Colorado's gone fishing, and everything else falls into place for them. They come back and oh, wow, look at that. Everything's fallen into place for us here to make the Big 12 championship game, which means college football playoff, man. Legitimate possibility here for the Buffs. The college football playoff is a legitimate possibility. Everybody, you can love it or hate it, but you got to wrap your mind around it, because it's undoubtedly true right now. So they're more like they're in the driver's seat-ish, driver's seat adjacent, kind of for Colorado here. Iowa State was really standing in the way. Obviously, K-State was a problem too because of the tiebreaker, but Iowa State was also standing in the way. So that Texas Tech game was really important for Colorado too. The interesting part about it is it now makes the game this week in Lubbock feel heightened, more important than it would have been before for Colorado, and probably more difficult based on what we saw Texas Tech do last week and how good they looked, how poised they looked to do that. Because shout out, Baron Morton, dude's a pretty tough SOB, and he battled through a couple of picks on that last drive, the game-winning drive. He missed one for sure, and kind of 1.5, 2 wide open receivers down the field that could have been touchdowns to go ahead before that. And I felt there's no way they're coming back after that. They had 3 false starts on that game-winning touchdown drive, and they had a 4th and 7, I think it was, they had to convert. And Baron Morton just didn't wince, didn't flinch. He did it. So that's the flip side. Colorado looks like they have a much tougher task on their hands in playing in Lubbock this week, a place that's going to be juiced up. I keep mentioning the stat. Now, this time at least, I promise I'm not doing it to elicit a reaction, Texas Tech fans. It's to make a point. But when you haven't won 9 games since 2009, and now you're sitting here hey, we're actually in this Big 12 title race, and we've got Big Noon kickoff here, and we've got this Colorado team that seems to be somewhat in the driver's seat now coming to our place. That's going to create a great environment, and it will juice that up and make it even more tough for Colorado to go deal with on Saturday. But you definitely take the trade-off if you are the Buffs. You absolutely take the trade-off there, which is now door has been open wide for us to step in, potentially go play for a Big 12 championship. I also think the bye week probably just really helped Colorado from a standpoint of getting guys rested, getting guys healthy. And this is where, the theme of hey, Colorado had the best bye week ever. Well, it's because they all got to rest. Travis Hunter's been dealing with the lingering effects of the shoulder injury from the K-State game. Got pulled part of the way through the Arizona game. I know, last time out, he did go through and play seemingly, I believe, the entire game, right? But still is going to help to get him a little bit of extra rest. November bye weeks are just a great thing, period, for anybody. Great time of the year to be able to get your roster rested up. And in the meantime, Travis Hunter at his Heisman campaign get boosted because he's going on Big Noon Kickoff. He's going on College Game Day. They're maximizing the media leverage that they can get for Heisman campaigns and just overall hype for the program, which, no surprise, Colorado's very good at that. They are. So it was a hell of a bye week, man. It was a hell of a bye week. And I got to admit, after all this, I have an apology to make. So I'm going to pull up a couple of tweets that were a couple of bad takes in retrospect from me. I know sometimes I get a reputation for being a bit of a sore loser. Everybody, there are some that would tell you that online from the way it has happened over the years. I'm fessing up to it here. Let's go back to June. Joel Klatt, Colorado grad, former Colorado quarterback who broke my heart once upon a time. Joel Klatt, there's a chance Colorado is competing to go to the Big 12 championship game. He said that in June. He said there is a scenario where if Shedeur Sanders is healthy and they maintain some of that health with guys on the outside, Travis Hunter, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so he's making the point Colorado can compete to go to the Big 12 championship game. You remember back in June, I did a show based around this. He went on The Herd with Colin Cowherd and said something very similar, that they could compete for 9 wins. And so my response was to do my snarky thing. Hey, where did Joel Klatt go to school? Making the point all right, of course the Colorado grad says this. Now, point of reference here, Buff fans, I was not hey, Colorado's terrible, they're going to win 3 games again guy. I think Colorado takes a nice step and they win 6 or 7 games. That was my stance in the offseason. So I thought, hey, competing to go to the Big 12 championship game, that feels like a stretch. So I made that joke. Unfortunately, that was not the only one. I did another one here on September 18th. And this was, September 18th. This was just, I criticized Klatt and gave him the same treatment just for putting Colorado on tier 3 of the Big 12. Look at this right now. And how funny does this look? September 18th, tier 1, still K-State, Oklahoma State, Utah, tier 2, Iowa State, UCF, tier 3, Colorado, Arizona. Boy, Arizona, if there's a negative tier in the Big 12, that's where Arizona's at right now. But I gave Joel Klatt the same treatment there for even suggesting that Colorado was in tier 3 of the conference at that point. It's not good. This is an L. If you want to see what an L looks like for your guy, that is it. That's me taking an L. I'm sorry, Joel. My apologies. You were right. I was wrong. Basically, no matter what happens the rest of the way, Colorado is definitely in contention for a Big 12 championship into November. So you were right. I was wrong. I did not think that this would happen. Please accept my humblest and sincerest apology. I think you are also an excellent analyst. I have always maintained that. I think you do a great job. Gus, who's awesome, appears to have lost a bit on his fastball. You do a lot to make that broadcast excellent. And I will probably doubt you again. I'm not going to say, hey, I'll never doubt you again. I'll probably do it again. But you've got my word that if I'm wrong and you're right, I will come right back around and do this. Okay? So there it is. There's the apology. Man of great integrity here to apologize to Joel Klatt.